Prologue. From the suppression of the newest kill shot, claiming another whose stomach exploded, as the other started to run away from the now dead body, and over the bridge in his company, as she was to go next, frantically holding both arms up in the sky, shaking on the spot as a little lead was added to ensure she was one with gravity, sending her down she went, as his SVLK-14S fires off again, as he finishes another one off, for the many to hear about, and few to sniff through the evidence, like a backdoor hacking entry with a Trojan horse installing a password sniffer, whilst handling the execution of the hand-picked victims to a rhythm of time, so he though joking to himself, as he was done, and was looking through the binoculars taking in the scenes that he had like a movie being played out for him dictating the main plot, so he believes, with each of the victims, plucked out of the thin air, and now laying some with medical support by now, some already rejected by the hospitals, and some stuck full with delays. Friday still, and the window is removed, and still open, and a lot of air has been entering and leaving the rooms, being locked away all day, inside, as his watch face reads 3:55 p.m., when the shot was fired, his first shot of the day from that position, idling above, in the air, 35 stories high now, whilst seconds later after delay of the long traveling .408, to be a mushroom, as she was also zoomed down her scope, looking at the reticle of his sniper scope's far-reaching shot of the rifle as it traveled flying across the day-bright sky, through the air over Central Park, New York, with another victim, taken by the sheer strength of the Lobaev SVLK-14S moments after firing his long shot, from the ultra-long-range, Russian sniper rifle. Chapter 1. Confirming my booking, for Friday, July 25th, preferably on the highest floor, with a 12 p.m. check-in for her, arrival, in a one-bedroom room, thanks, as Debbie continues to say, after a brief pause seeing if the hotel wanted to say anything just yet, as she speaks further, the booking should be under Nancy Dean. However, you are talking to Debbie Sonars, the travel agent behind this stay, and my past email, I already sent listing my client's requests. The representative of the Ritz-Carlton says, well, thank you for all that, Debbie. I can confirm we have a room being serviced and free on floor 12, high, or I have one on offer for floor 5, lower, but with the park view your email requests, we actually advise a room on level 5. Would you like to go with our recommendation and book in this room available for a checkout as emailed, on August 25th, with park views on 5th floor, Debbie? Debbie says, I have my credit card details with me, if you can tell me how much that room will come up to, for the entire month, thanks. As the concierge says, that is a total of $38,000, rounded down for you, ma'am, as well as credit cards attract a 2% surcharge on all transactions. Would you like to proceed with me now in booking this room, whilst it is still available? As Debbie replies, yes, make the booking. Okay, Debbie, the booking has been made. Please share with me those card details, to here, 4355-6432-7905-3567 name Debbie Duxland, CCV 293, and the details are actually the same as on my email, and deposit left, thanks, that was a MasterCard. Alright, that checks out fine, printing your receipt now, and I will send you your confirmation email which will include this receipt for the room. Thank you for choosing the Ritz-Carlton, Central Park, New York City for your accommodation. Call if we can be of any further assistance. Thanks, Debbie. As Debbie says, thanks, and hangs up the phone on the Ritz-Carlton. Hello, tell me, hun, how are we going? Says the female who answers the call, with Debbie the agent replying, it is confirmed, and booked. You have 1 month, from Thursday, 25th July. I better suggest you get off the amphetamines, and get some fresh sleep, to here. I will be fine, thanks, hun, says the lady, as she hangs up the phone on her friend as she turns into her driveway, whilst putting the roof up on her Mustang convertible, that she parks in the driveway, returning to her office, which was at home, working alone as a travel agent, an exclusive one. Chapter 2. It is Thursday, and Jerry jumps into the taxi, and soon after 3 hours of drive time, arrives to his firing range of choice, located far out from the city, which has a 5-kilometer firing range, for long-ranged weapons, such as his beloved Lobaev SVLK-14S long-range high-powered sniper rifle, able to hit targets just over 4 kilometers away. He has 12 watermelons packed in bags with him, and his rangefinder, which he will use to confirm the far-reaching 4 kilometers from his firing position, over at the firing range, as he sets up his sniper rifle at the long range, and prepares to pick up the buggy nearby, to make the 4-kilometer drive, to the other side of the range, and place the watermelons, at the 4-kilometer mark, for his much-needed practice. With Jerry's SVLK-14S Lobaev ultra-long-range sniper rifle set up on bipod, he walks on over to the front counter, and asks, "Keys to the buggy please, time to drive out 4 kilometers, with 12 watermelons, want to help," as the employee at the firing range, wearing tag with name Nathan on it, says in reply, "How about you do it yourself? I am short-staffed today, and can't really leave the desk," as he hands Jerry the keys to the buggy, as he makes his way back to the 5-kilometer firing range where he set up his rifle, and makes his way to the side of the firing range, jumps on the buggy and starts his journey, 4 kilometers exactly down the firing range, with his watermelons. After driving at a slow 15 miles per hour, he finally arrives at the 4-kilometer mark, and can't see the firing range anymore with his naked eye, as he stacks the 12 watermelons next to one another, on the slope on the hill, which took him even longer to ascend to, as he made a few trips up and down, to the ground level, with the buggy. He manages to set up 12 melons, and is placed in front of his SVLK-14S Lobaev, and familiar with firing 4 kilometers out from the target. He planned to only be here for 30 minutes, shooting the 12 melons, with the first 3 of the 12 requiring a little longer to warm up on, but he should explode each one of them, as he takes his first shot, clearing the chamber, pulling back on his pull bolt, as the delay finally sees the watermelon explode, seconds after taking the shot, as he stayed scoped into his sight. Chapter 3. It was Friday the 26th of July, and Donald Dixon is getting prepared to give a quick speech, after opening the road, as the MC says, "Thank you for all being here today," at the opening with New York City Mayor Donald Dixon, who I welcome to the front stage, as everyone in the crowd of attendance being 50,000, flooding the streets of Harlem on the far side of Central Park, known Malcolm X Boulevard. They cut the red tape, does the Mayor Donald Dixon, who moments later, a lady in the crowd sees, whilst hearing the rest of the crowd moan in disbelief, as they hear a large and very loud-sounding gunshot reverberate, which can be heard throughout the suburb of Harlem, far and wide to surrounding areas. The crowd is a second after in a hysterical state, as each supporter on the streets, among the crowds, are running into each other, some are fighting against each other, police are trying to make arrests, as some are getting beaten up themselves, with a lot of chaos being had as everyone is running for their life, avoiding, and praying not to get shot as well, hearing the bullet go off, with some seeing the murder and body drop of the mayor's standing position, on a stage. Hello 911, we need citywide, throw a few citywides, to Malcolm X Boulevard, you will tell me Manhattan and I ain't here to argue with you and end up back in the can. But it is more Harlem than Manhattan, where Donald Dixon, our goddamn mayor, has just been killed, in front of thousands, as a message is heard played and automated. Citywide has lived up to its reputation of providing the highest quality emergency ambulances and service, always one near you. The operator answers, "Hello ma'am, thanks for calling, we have dispatched police from NYPD due to the murder you said of our mayor. And an ambulance has been dispatched to Harlem already, thank you, sorry I had you on hold, but I did hear out everything you said first, allowing me to make the booking, leave your number, after the beep, as that will be recorded, as well as our conversation, thank you," as the lady continues the phone call, who is standing in the street at Malcolm X Boulevard. Chapter 4. Suppressed his shots, as he has his frequency and rhythm added up, starting at 3:15 p.m. on Friday, 26th, as he fires, like a watermelon seen earlier. Central Park 1 stays down, as the chamber is cleared, taking his time on the savoring of the aftermath of releasing the trigger in his direction again towards his heart, for those few seconds that let it sit in the glass whilst it gets a swirl, already however, even not yet drunk, already served though, the glass, from the bottle, or out of the rifle, otherwise its loud sound, that would have been heard by all, like the bottle pop of expensive champagne loud enough when inside, to draw the attention, from your moment of time, when it's requested. Scene 2, whistled popping its top off, as he was planning on doing aligning the reticle with a gentleman this time, who was smoking a cigarette in the sanctuary at Hallett, as he lets go of his trigger, as it moves forward from him, towards the shot, the shooter, as he takes his eye out of the scope, and flicks the TV channel on the remote nearby his stomach, to CNN, and has a drink, whilst crouching down, again, and preparing his next victim. A timber TV cabinet, a small suite for the shooter, queen-sized bed, 2 windows, using both to his full advantage, heavy drapes over the windows now sitting on the floor stories above, at the hotel, exclusive with its characterful rooms, and its price tag and expense as frequently popular guests, those of high profile, those with fame, those with money spent, who are always sharing the same experiences offered by guests, as did the shooter already experience, earlier today, whist setting up, figure skating, a non-stop spin here, a kick off the ice there, and a jump spinning backwards, only to land and continue going forward and, ever so smoothly along the ice in the middle of Central Park, stopping as he slowly takes his breath. The next, probably another one that stood out, maybe one in conversation, out of the many, as the shooter was on the prowl, having only less than his 1-hour limit left to finish what he could see, and what he had started with professionalism being displayed, and very confident with himself. He uses his binoculars to pick out 2 people crossing the lovely-looking bridge, known to some local as Gabstows Bridge. Suppression, still being used on his Lobaev, SVLK-14S, now staring for the last 20 minutes at, he on the ice skating rink, throwing his stomach around in sync with his rhythm. He was moving no more to, letting go of the next in line, as he next watches a couple walking past the sidewalk, changing shortly after from a lower room, until later when he would returning again, with its characterful style and design throughout. Chapter 5. Harlem 1 chopper in air reported at 2:45 p.m. to Airport Command during Moondog's reporting to the JFK International Airport, Air Tower Command, as I lied, scoped in over Harlem, noticing the helicopter pilot hovering over near Central Park, helicopter blades interrupting Dixon, so ever more than possibly as he was still over Harlem, and it was an hour exactly later, as Moondog looked to his watch face that showed the time of 03:55 p.m. to him, as he knew he was really looking ever so much suspiciously traveling close to rooftops, a no-fly zone, an irresponsible pilot, he thought to himself, unable to make a statement to the police whilst he was too busy flying with his instructor, as he was a pilot that was flying ever so much on the occasion that Moondog found it easier and a more enjoyable flight with a witness these days, as you never know. The instructor made it possible for he to fly the light aircraft he did, as he was on his usual 1-hour flight, flying back over Harlem towards JFK, and to his surprise seeing the same black helicopter, hovering in the same position, over Harlem an hour later, not getting any fuel either, so he thought longer about it as he spoke. Come in, Air Traffic Control Tower, there is a low-flying helicopter over Harlem near Central Park, as the instructor pays attention to his environment, as much as the pilot, as he pays attention, not noticing the big crowds underneath the helicopter that Friday. Moondog found it immature and irresponsible, the pilot's bad conduct, flying the Harlem skies, as they were about to align with the autopilot for touchdown at JFK Domestic Airport's arrivals, side of the airport, shared with many every day of its operation, with the instructor saying, "Good call," reporting it into Air Tower, "That low-flying bird, we just passed again," as he agreed to seeing it as a safety hazard, the instructor, strangely realizing that it had been in the same position an hour later, as this is the second time it has been reported in, he thought a few moments, in the small light range Piper Archer plane. The instructor witnessed, and overheard, as did the recording of the audio conversation, between Airport Control Tower, at JFK and the pilot's report on the low-flying helicopter, that no one made further inquiry into. Chapter 6. Interviewees, please remain seated. May I get Hannah Beaker to step up and down the aisle to room 14, thank you, said the police officer, Williams, walking around the reception area of the larger police station reception area of the MTA in Harlem, whilst it is Friday, at 3:45 p.m. "Hello Hannah, we would like to ask you a few questions regarding your attendance today," said Police Officer Chams. Hannah said in reply, "What did you want to know about the assassination? I saw it, he clearly got sniped." As Chams says, "Did you hear a shot that would sound like a sniper rifle, or some other large weapon, as the forensics are going over the evidence as we speak at Malcolm X Boulevard, Harlem?" Senior Detective Jankens walks in, and sees Officer Chams in an interview, and walks out again. "It all happened so fast, I don't know what more I can say." "To be of any help to you," said Hannah. Officer Chams says, "You are free to go, thank you for your time," as she pages for the next witness to come through. Officer Williams walked around and raised his voice saying, "Carl Watts, please make your way up," as a young man aged mid-30s raises his hand, and is old, "Room down the hall, door 14 thanks," says Williams. Upon his entry to room 14, he says, "Hello," as Officer Chams says, "Hello, what was your name for the record, Carl?" "Watts," he simply says. "Thank you Mr. Watts, tell me, where were you today?" "I was at the Malcolm X Boulevard street opening, it was to be one good day, I was looking forward to it. Do you know the real reason where it got its name from? Well, do you?" As Chams says, "Anything strange on the day?" As he replied, "There was this one helicopter in the sky, it hovered like a reporter, but had no stickers, black in color it was, and the loud gunshot was definitely a sniper rifle, that assassinated our mayor, Dixon." Chapter 7. "Debbie, are you in your office?" As Debbie replies, "Yeah," as she hangs up and detonates the explosives she planted at Debbie's work, which was from home, as she is flying in the helicopter, with the blades louder as the engine, lucky to hear Debbie out before killing her, as she was a suspect to an assassination, but her room was good, she thinks to herself, and her purchase of level 5 floor room at the Ritz. The helicopter arrives on the runway, and she exits the helicopter after it lands at JFK International Airport, as she jumps out from the helicopter, with rotors spinning, as she manages to run past a door to stairs leading to the boarding gates, at the international terminal, when she rings her employer. The employer says, "Rizzy, calm down, it is going in now, and the other half was paid to your next account. The details are in the luggage, at the airport locker at JFK. Pick them up with the passcode 2353, box 12, there is 50,000 starting money for your immediate time away, and the rest will arrive shortly in Bitcoin, as you already confirm, as I just sent those 5 seconds ago." She finds the locker with the $50,000, and buys change of clothes, from Hudson, not finding much. She manages to buy something to eat from McDonald's, quick and easy, as her flight leaves within the hour at gate 44, whilst she later passes by Starbucks for a coffee. 50 grand, to help get her on her feet when she would leave the country, as she was already at the airport, and was at the boarding gate after half an hour of waiting, was already seated on the flight arriving at the Bahamas, with no income tax, a haven she knew, with her new bank account, set up for her. Moving cities, it is all about meeting new people, she knew to herself, as she was on the way to migrating to a new country, in search of new opportunities, and much happiness, and having been paid a lot of money, as she confirms, so is the 15 million in my new wallet, and is the other half in my Bank of the Bahamas account, yet, already, as I have not received any notifications yet. Why the delay? Can't you see Dixon is dead, hon? She said to her employer for the assassination. Millions in Bitcoin, as the confirmations were being seen to for the Bitcoin payment, which would be done in 2 confirmations, said the employer, as she was watching her Electrum wallet that was less $15 million, as she could clearly see in Electrum. Chapter 8. The senior detective, Jankens, walks in, and sees Police Officer Davis, sitting at the table, to her right, Detective Lee, as well as Police Officer Chams on the left. So tell me, Detective Lee, what do we have, other than what I do not know? Well, we just spoke with witnesses all over Malcolm X Boulevard, and it is guaranteed that they all heard a large weapon go off, a very loud sound, and that was over a crowd of 50,000, in the streets of Harlem, said the detective, Lee. Witnesses are saying that they had seen a suspicious helicopter over Harlem, said Davis. We found left behind, on one of the rooftops, on Malcolm X Boulevard, on Friday evening, a long-range sniper rifle, Lobaev SVLK-14S, said Officer Davis further. The first in the killing spree, were all spread 5 minutes apart, said Detective Lee, said the 2 group in attendance today, from the Midtown Precinct North. Tell me, says the senior detective, Jankens, about the second one, what happened there, Officer Chams, as Chams took a moment before speaking. A man in the Hallett Sanctuary at Central Park, was left missing limbs at Hallett Sanctuary in Central Park, like the rest of them, same shooter, .408 caliber was found in each of them, 1 shot each, said Detective Lee. We spoke to the witnesses, on that one, butts in Davis. Next, said the senior. Chams says, the last was murdered, at 3:40 p.m., of men or woman, all casualties to the same shooters, were all dead instantly, as seen on autopsy reports which show the same weapon was definitely used from what forensics pulled up on Donald Dixon, and those at Central Park Lobaev, SVLK-14S cause of death. Chapter 9. Carol, from Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco and Firearms, is seen on CNN, currently live on the air, saying, no connections, different faces, different races, different ethnicity, different homes, different ways of life, and this makes it so much the harder to sift through the evidence presented to us. She continues to say, other snipers, from NYPD helped out with the investigation, by being sent each to the sites of each of the murders and give a possible recollection of events that would have occurred, knowing what they knew from the angles of the crime scenes, of so many innocent lives, in New York City. The reporter Claire Anarch is now switched and patched into the live feed, representing CNN News Live, across the world, as the theme song is played in the background of the new update, as she says, this is Claire Anarch reporting live from Central Park, right on the side of Midtown, on Central Park Boulevard, as there have been many recorded murders of past recent, as the kill count has risen, a month later with the identification of 2 hotel rooms, which were exposed to be as connected with the spree of murders that had mysteriously taken New York by surprise, in July, as well as giving new light to the assassination of New York Mayor Donald Dixon, who was assassinated at Malcolm X Boulevard opening day, and being welcomed, as a part of New York officially, which was at 3:55 p.m. on Friday 25th of July. The mayor concluded this ceremony. Chapter 10. The senior detective, Jankens, walks in, 6 months later, and my questions are still unanswered, said the senior detective, to the entire team of NYPD officers, and detectives in attendance at the meeting, set up connecting Midtown Precinct North, with New York City Police Department number 24 Precinct, senior detectives and NYPD police officers, who were all involved with the assassination, and murders of past recent, with the cases still being opened. My questions that we have to answer are simple, as the senior detective Jankens prepares to share the list with the other staff on his team. 3 Lobaev SVLK-14S sniper rifles capable of firing a .408 round were found, used, across a spree of murders nearby at Central Park, the afternoon of Friday the 25th, with one rifle found on a rooftop above Malcolm X Boulevard. How did it get there? The pilot and instructor reported the suspiciously flying helicopter to air tower control. Since being interviewed, the pilot was found murdered the next day. Who killed the instructor after he became a witness? The empty room, left behind, the same rifle used on the spree of murders, from what hotel? Where was the assassin in the assassination of Dixon, with a Lobaev SVLK-14S, firing from? We have no identifiable shooter as of yet, with a total pool of 13 murders that occurred on Friday, July 25, which hotel was within firing range of a Lobaev SVLK-14S shot. The window was found, removed, which they had reports from the room overlooking the entire Central Park, clearly. Who was the assassin of the Dixon murder? He laid dead, long after being found, with the shooter at large still, which sees the murder of one, with a .408 mushroom, and the room that you could not see into from the street view. Who killed him and got away? Said the senior detective, Jankens to you. Said the senior detective, Jankens to you. Said the senior detective, Jankens to you. Said the senior detective,